I don't know what type of stitch this is. How I don't know what it's called actually, but this is how the lady showed me how to do her socks. It was her pattern that she gave to me. Basically, I have size 4 needles. The string is stretchy, so I'm going to go with fewer cast-on stitches than what she told me. And casting on means that I'm putting stitches onto the needle when there previously wasn't any. So first I start out with a slip knot. I just go like this. I put it through here, like this. And I want to make sure that it slips from the piece that I'll be working with. So I'm pulling the working yarn, which is the yarn that's attached to the ball, and as I'm pulling it, it tightens. If it wasn't done right, it wouldn't actually tighten that way. It would only tighten from the tail end, which is the end that's loose and not attached to anything. So you want to make sure it's attached to the string that's attached to the ball is the one that tightens the loop. Then you go ahead and put it on your needle. This is Cascade yarn. Cascade, and the type of kind is Fixation, and this is the stretchy one. See, it kind of stretches. Normally string doesn't stretch like this, but it has some sort of elastic in it. So I don't know if you can tell on here, but I'm going to try and show you as best I can. And then once I get going, I will just hit it, make it go faster through the video so you can see exactly how I start the loop. What happens is I just stick the needle through from the front to back through the front loop of the string, and then I take the yarn that's attached to the ball, and since it's stretchy string I have to be careful not to pull it too tight. I just wrap it around this needle that I just stuck through, and I pull the string through, or the yarn through. They don't like it when you call it string for some reason. And then I take that same loop that's on this needle that I just pulled through, and I put it back onto the other needle. And now I have 2 stitches. That's including the slip knot loop. So you also include that one as part of your knitting. I'll show you that again from this angle, and then I'll turn it around. I stick my needle through from front to back. I wrap the yarn around that needle, and then I pull it through and stick it back on the other needle. Okay, so this is the ball of yarn, the string that goes to the ball of yarn. This is the one with the loops on it. That's my left hand. So I stick, see if I can get closer. I stick the needle through that front loop. The front is called the front leg because it's in the front towards you. Then I wrap the yarn around that same needle. See if I can make it so you can see it here. I pull the string through. See, you can see that I pulled the string through, and then I put it back onto the other needle. And then just scoot them down. Now I have 4 stitches. You can see 4 stitches. Here, maybe I can do it up closer so you can see it. So I stick it through the front loop. I wrap the yarn around that same needle. Pull it back through. Oops. Dropped it. Pull it through the same loop, and I put it back on the needle. And now I needed to keep doing that until I have 44 stitches. I have 5 stitches now, which is probably hard to see on there, but I have 5 stitches. So now I need to keep going until I have 48 stitches. So I will keep going, and this part I'm going to fast forward so that you can see all of the stitches go on. But I'll just keep working, and then I will make the video play fast during this part because it takes a little while. Since my cable that's attached to both needles is so long, and they don't make any shorter ones. What I have to do is what's called the magic loop. So what I do is I count half of the stitches: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. And I pull the loop, or pull the cable through that spot, so that there's 24 stitches on each side. So I bend the cable right there in that spot, and I pull the excess cable through. It kind of stretches it, but it'll come back when you start knitting again. This is what makes it go around here. This is how you make this is going to be the top of the sock. So I haven't joined it yet. It's not joined yet. So what I have to do is knit this side to this side, and that'll make one full circle. So that's how you do it. I'll show you real quick. I gotta slip the bottom needle in. I slip the bottom needle into this so that it stretches correctly here. And I gotta make sure that all of my stitches, because it makes like a rib pattern on the bottom, and then the cable's on the top, and then there's a rib on the bottom. You can see on the bottom when the rib is on the top right here, and the needle's on the bottom. I got to make sure that the rib is pointed towards each other, because if it's not, then the sock is going to be twisted and it's going to mess up everything here. So what I need to do is knit this top one to the bottom one, because this is the working yarn. I got to knit that to the other part of the sock. So what I do is pull out the top needle, make sure that the ribbing is pointed towards each other, and I take this top needle, this was the top needle, and I just knit, just like I was doing for the cast on, but I knit it into this first knot. I knit it into the front loop, just like I was doing when I was casting on. And I'll turn this around to show you how to. So I take it, put it through, I wrap the needle just like before, and I pull the string through. But instead of putting this loop back on the other needle, I'm going to pull until that other loop, the one that I just knitted into, falls off. and that's how you make the sock round. That's how it joins to itself, right there. Now you got to make sure that's really tight, otherwise there's going to be like a run in the sock. And then you just keep going round and round. And I believe this row is called a row. Each time you go around it's called a row. I think this one is just knit all the way around, but I gotta check just to be sure. Actually, no, it's this. We start with the ribbing, which the ribbing of the sock, it goes like this, which means you knit 4. So far I've knitted 3. I got 3 on this needle, and the rest of the stitches are on this needle. So I need to knit 1 more, which I go around, pull it through, and pull that old knit stitch off. Now to purl, see how my string is on your side? I got to bring it to my side. And then instead of going from front to back, now to purl, I go from back to front towards me. Wrap it and then pull it the other way through. And then pull that old stitch off. So put it through, wrap it, pull that new string through, and pull the old stitch off. Then I knit 4 again. So you do knit 4 and then you purl 4 all the way around. I have to bring the string back to the back, see it's on your side again, and then knit. Then you go all the way around, you get to the end of this 24 stitches. Remember we split it in half. And then I have to pull the cable around so I can get to the other stitches. And that's basically how you start the sock. This is going to be the very top of the sock, the part that's on your leg. And I'm going to work towards the toe. So if it's called a top-down sock. And this sock is really simple. And then I go back to knitting. See how I pulled the string to the back? And then I go knit 4. And 48 divides into 6. So I'm able to have an equal number of purl stitches and an equal number of knit stitches. So there's 6 totals. 4 knit, 2 purl, that's 6. And divide 48 by 6. So there's 4 knit, and then I go back to purl. And that way I don't have like, when I get towards the end of this row, I don't have 4 purl stitches in a row when there's only supposed to be 2. So I had to make sure I have the right amount of purl stitches and knit stitches so that I don't, on one side, have 8 purl and 4 knit, so it doesn't mess up the way the sock looks. See, and I have it right because I have 2 stitches left right here, which are my 2 purl. That's why it's important to have the right number of stitches on your needles. 2. Now, all of the stitches that were on this needle are now on this needle because I pulled all of the old ones off and put them onto here. So the sock's on this side now. So what I do is I turn it upside down. Since this is the cable that I need to knit with, I got to push this into, this is called magic loop method, because you got a loop over here and then I'm going to have a loop over here. Because my cable is too long, I have to use this method, so I don't have to use the double pointed needles, which I used to before, but I don't like that method because it creates the runs in the sock, and I'm not very good at double pointed needles. So I'm going to push this needle into the stitches, which they're kind of tight actually. I'm going to pull the top needle out, and then I'm ready to do the next set of stitches, just like I did on the other side. Knit 4, purl 2, knit 4, purl 2, and I just keep going around and around and around. Knit 4, purl 2, knit 4, purl 2, and I'll go 7 inches for just the leg, and then I'll start to heal. So that's how you start to